Hey everyone, this is Steve from Juxtaposition Podcast. We're trying something new today. We're going to do a video game review. More accurately, we're going to do a retro video game review. Anyone that listens to the podcast knows I absolutely love retro gaming. It's definitely been a passion of mine for the last year or so, maybe kicked off by COVID and being locked down. But either way, absolutely love it. Big hobby of mine. So I'm excited to do this and share this with you guys. Hopefully you love it. Let me know. Leave some comments. Give me some feedback. I'm hoping this becomes a regular segment. But if you hate it, then I'll probably still do it, and you'll just have to ignore it, I guess. Before we get started, let's talk about hardware. I'm going to be capturing gameplay on the AverMedia Live Gamer Ultra, and I will be playing it on the Retron 3 HD. Again, listeners of the podcast know I recently acquired this. I'm loving it. This gives me an excuse to use it more often because I'm pumping out content. So hopefully you guys like it. We're going to be using the Retron 3 HD primarily because it's clone hardware. I actually own the original hardware on most of these games, specifically this game. But it's just easier to use the Retron 3, save some space. I'm redoing my office, so hopefully I have a little more space soon. But in the meantime, Retron 3 HD with the original Genesis controller. Or spoiler, we're going to be reviewing a Genesis game, or Mega Drive if you're outside of North America, and the original cartridge. So everything's new with the clone hardware. Let's get into the game. We're going to be discussing one of the most important sports gaming franchise of all time, Tecmo Bowl. This is the Tecmo Super Bowl for the Genesis or Mega Drive, as I said before. I've seen some reports and some articles calling this a sequel. It's more of an updated 16-bit release of the original NES game. They definitely address some bugs. They've updated the rosters. They updated players' attributes. But all in all, the gameplay is just an updated version of the NES. They did release two legitimate sequels, the Tecmo Super Bowl 2 Special Edition and Tecmo Super Bowl 3 Final Edition. But again, Tecmo Super Bowl in 1993 release for Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive. First impressions, does not feel like a 16-bit era game. Our gameplay is a side sky view. At this point, Madden had been around for a few years, and they've been using the on-field perspective that we're mostly familiar with if you play football games. So to go back and play a side view of it was a little shocking, a little jarring, I guess. Shocking, probably not the right word, but I didn't like it. It wasn't familiar. From a defensive perspective, when in gameplay, you had to guess what the offense is going to do. If you guess the correct play, you more often than not will steamroll the offensive line, get a sack, or shut down the run. If you guess wrong, a lot of times the offense got a big play, which makes sense because this is an arcadey couch competitive game. Later sports really gets into the simulator, but at this era, again, 1993, it was more arcade. You're playing with your buddy or your brother or sister, and you're just picking up, playing a quick game and moving on. So the offense feels a lot more rewarding, which makes sense for this type of game. Running play, a lot of times you just have to run around the defensive line, and then you had a decent run. Passing, you have to press A to switch receiver that you're targeting and press B to pass the ball. More often than not, you can get a decent pass. The sound in the game was absolutely horrendous. And every single play, you hear this impact, which was the offense and defensive line smashing into each other. But it reminded me of a hand drum you would use in middle school. It was not good. I hated it. It got repetitive very quickly, and I did not like it at all. When you are playing season mode, you have to simulate the other games before you can get to your own. And the presentation at first, I appreciated it. So essentially, you see a scoreboard, and it gives you the score of each quarter as the game is simulated. Now, what you see is the scoreboard and a pinup girl at the bottom. Why didn't they just change that pinup girl to show the logo of the home team? That would have been a lot more pleasant to look at. It would have made more sense for this. And, this animation, like a lot of the animation you see in this game, is neat the first time you see it and then gets very repetitive very quickly, especially since you have to stare at the simulation, the scoreboard, for every game that you're not controlling. One cool thing is that the season mode keeps track of league leaders. So you can quickly look at your best quarterback in the league, your best running back, your best receiver, defensive player. And as you choose different ones, you get a little animation. So quarterback, they show quarterback. Running back, they show running back. And it was neat, but again, repetitive. And during the gameplay, what I found is I can get a decent pass, I can get a decent run, but the defender will close on me quickly. It felt a little rubber band as I made a pass over the middle and the defender quickly caught up and tackled me. I found this is probably just me when I'm playing is every time I go for a field goal, I would have to bounce it through the upright. It was not a clean kick. It was very much bounce and in. It was good, but it wasn't a clean kick. I did notice that fourth down would open up the special teams mode every time. So if I'm within field goal, it opens up and says, hey, you should probably kick it. It's fourth down. Or if I'm outside of that, it would open up and tell me to punt it, which was cool. But I did find that if I wanted to, I could back out of that and just choose a play. I found when I tried that with the sneak, I got that first down, but I also got injured. So I don't know if that was just a coincidence or if they kind of punish you for not making the right choice. Another thing that I found frustrating, again, this is arcade mode. This is not the simulation that we're used to today. But the clock management is a big part of playing football. And in here, the clock ticks down for 10 seconds during the play select and then stops. The clock does not start ticking again until the ball is snapped. I did find that the defense, when losing, the CPU-controlled defense would call a timeout as if the clock continued, but they didn't need to. They could have just held on to that. Again, I'm looking at it with the 2021 vision when in 1993, the thought of a football simulation with clock management was probably a little lofty. But overall, the game is fun. It just gets repetitive, which is the nature of sports games in this era. It was all about that arcade, couch competitive gameplay. Let's make it fun for 15, 20 minutes. Not with the idea of repetition, simulating a season, simulating a career, which is what we're used to today. It's difficult to look at this game without that in mind when we've had 20 something years of progress in sports simulation. Madden gets a ton of well-earned hate because they shit out the same game every single year, but they need to be credited for the innovation in the franchise mode, in the franchise gameplay that we have now. Madden really innovated and changed sports gaming. And, Tecmo Bowl was the first football game that was huge. Madden took the ball and ran with it. And, I think they both deserve the love that they earned. I don't know if I would recommend Tecmo Super Bowl in 2021 unless you want to play some nostalgia. Maybe you played it when you were a kid and you want to pick it up again. It's fun for 20 minutes. It probably does not have a ton of replayability, but check it out. Let me know what you think. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed making this review. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you hated. Give me some feedback. I would love to continue doing this. Thank you.